Welcome to the Rabbi's Message. We come to you every single Thursday right here on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I am your Rabbi Elazar Bogomilsky, and the message is very clear. You know, it's interesting, in Torah portions throughout this week, which means this week's Torah portion is Parshat Vayigash. It's from the book of Genesis, and it's a fascinating story. It's a story of hope. It's a story of celebration. It's a story of tremendous drama. It's a story of Joseph and his brothers meeting and engaging in one another. And as Joseph rekindles his flame with his brothers, and he once again meets his brothers, think about what's going on in Joseph's mind. So many years departed from his brothers. After all, his brothers sent him into the pit, were hoping that he would basically be killed. And here he becomes second in command to Pharaoh himself, the most powerful individual in the entire world at that time. Something so profound has happened. Something so unique has happened. As Joseph, sitting second in command to Pharaoh, his brothers come from the land of Israel, and his brothers basically are searching for food. And Joseph puts this whole entire family in turmoil. And he makes them go back and forth, and he plants the geviyah, the secret goblet, so to speak, the silver goblet. He plants it in Benjamin's sack. And eventually, Benjamin, which of course is his full brother from the same mother, Rachel, and he's holding back tears of excitement, and he really wants to reveal who he is to his dear brothers. And that's how this week's Torah portion opens up. It opens up to a story how Judah, one of the brothers of Joseph, steps forward, and that's the word Vayigash. Vayigash in Hebrew means, and he approaches. And Judah steps forward, and Judah says, "What's this? This is nonsense. We came here, we are not spies. We did not come to spy out the land of Egypt. We came here merely because we need to sustain ourselves, our family, and our father, who is still alive in the land of Israel. And everything you asked of us, we came through. You asked to please bring our brother Benjamin, and we brought him also. Now you've taken him in captivity. This is nonsense." And sort of our commentaries explain that at that moment, Judah and his brothers were ready to wage war. They were ready to put all the energy aside and say, that's it. Enough is enough. We've promised our father, Jacob, that we will return Benjamin unharmed, and now he's in captivity. We got to do something about it. Finally, what happens is Joseph reveals himself to his brothers, shedding tears, and he says, "Ha'od Yosef, ha'od Avichai, is my father still alive? Ani Yosef, ha'od Avichai, I am your brother Joseph." And when he says these words, what happens is his brothers are in disbelief. They can't imagine. They can't imagine, how could it be? How could it be someone as Joseph? They remember him being thrown into the pit. How could it be for an individual like that to become second in command in the strongest kingdom of the world under Pharaoh himself? And what's interesting is, the first question that demands an understanding is that how could it be? I know one thing for sure, that if I have a couple of brothers, that if I didn't see them in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 22 years, I didn't see them, and all of a sudden, I once again had the reunion with them, and I sat a meal with them, and I hung out with them in a certain sense, I would imagine one of the brothers, we're talking about a tribe of 12 brothers, 12 individuals. How is it possible that all this time, not one of them was able to reveal and to say, hey, that guy looks like a brother of ours. That guy sitting up there is not just a regular vice, someone second in command to Pharaoh. But this individual just looks like us, thinks like us, acts like us. What is it? What is it that Joseph was able to sort of keep this disguise? That he was sort of Sheni LaMelech, the second in command to Pharaoh, and not in any way during their entire visit, going back and forth, trying to bring back some food to their father Jacob, did not anyone realize that this was actually their brother Joseph? That demands an understanding. How is it possible? And I believe the answer that perhaps can be understood is as follows. You have to understand something. The brothers of Joseph were great warriors. They were strong. Judah was compared to the lion. Powerful individuals, each and every one of the tribes, the future tribes of the Jewish nation. Each one symbolized another element, another powerful instinct of life. But one thing they did not understand, that how is it possible for a person to be a pious, a spiritual, a unique person as a Jew, and at the same time be in control of such a powerful country? How is it possible? Either you are totally spiritual or you are totally mundane. This interaction, this infusion of spirituality and the mundane world did not exist. It's impossible. As the rabbis tell us, they were the roe. They were all shepherds. They engaged in heavenly matters. They engaged in taking care of their family and their community. But the mundane world, sort of the Egypt of the world at that time, the crust of society, that was not their business. So by them seeing Joseph, it wasn't the fact that they couldn't see Joseph. Of course, they had many encounters with their brother Joseph. But they could not imagine, how was it possible for a person of such a great spirituality, as one of the only righteous people in Jewish history in the Torah and the 5 books of Moses, do we use the terminology of Yosef HaTzadik, which means Joseph the righteous one. And what's interesting is, when they began to realize, wow, this is Joseph their brother. This is Joseph, the one that they sold, the one that they basically sort of pushed under the rug and said, hey, you're not going to be part of our brotherhood. And look what has become of this individual, how strong and how mighty and how powerful Joseph was at that time, was totally overwhelming to them. That he was still Yosef HaTzadik. He was still Joseph, the righteous individual, although being in such a powerful position, such a mundane position, controlling the physical world, the currency of the world, the food that was needed at that time, that the entire world was coming from all the 4 corners, and yet he still remained Yosef HaTzadik. I think that's a very profound and a powerful lesson. I'm going to take a short break now. And when I come back, I'm going to share with you a deeper perspective on the story of Parshat Vayigash, the Torah portion of Vayigash, which I think gives each and every one of us not only hope, but guidance in our life. We come back right after these messages of the Rabbi's message. For 8 days, the world glows a little bit brighter as giant outdoor menorahs light up the night sky. Wherever you travel, you'll see them. At the White House, in Red Square, lighting up the foot of the Eiffel Tower. There are thousands of them, shedding light from Australia to the frontiers of Siberia. And of course, throughout our beautiful state. These menorahs have been placed by the Chabad Lubavitch organization to help publicize the message of Hanukkah, the miraculous triumph of religious freedom over oppression. Still, the main celebration of Hanukkah remains a family affair. So in the evening of each of the 8 days of Hanukkah, gather your family and light the menorah, adding an additional flame each night. If you would like to find out more about the Hanukkah holiday, please visit us online at chaiseattle.com. This message has been brought to you by Rabbi Elazar Bogomilsky of Shmooze Radio and the Friendship Circle, wishing you and your family a happy Hanukkah. Well, welcome back to the Rabbi's Message again. This is your Rabbi Elazar Bogomilsky. You know, we're talking about the Torah portion of Parshat Vayigash, the message, what it means for us in today's day in life. And I think there is a very, very profound message that needs to be discussed and analyzed. You know, so many of us in our life, in our day in and day out life, are confused. We go through different elements of life, and we're not sure exactly what it means, what direction one should take. We're not sure that, am I doing this, is there going to be pay? Am I doing this, is there purpose? Am I doing this, do I see a bright future for me? And sometimes people are enthralled in life. They're going back and forth to the same job day in and day out. And they ponder within themselves and they wonder, what is going on with my life? Am I excelling? Am I bringing forth the goodness, the purpose of life? Why am I involved in this job? Why am I so loyal to this individual that doesn't treat me the way I deserve to be treated? Or perhaps it's not a question of the workplace. It's a question of a relationship. Or it's a question of a school for education. I am in this part of the country, I'm in this part of the world, I'm in this city, I'm in this town. And I'm living in this town and I wonder, am I making a difference? And I'm wondering, why did I end up over here? Is there a purpose to this whole sort of roundabout way of life? Is there a reason why I met this individual that now has told me some information that has opened my eyes? And I started doing this thing. Where is it leading to me? Which path am I on? This is a question that every single person has every single day of their life. People want to know direction. People want to know, am I living to my potential? People want to know. Perhaps the people that I'm meeting, is there a connection with one person and the other? This is a question that if you don't have, you should be asking yourself. Why is it that I'm here? Why is it that I met you today? Why is it that I'm listening to the rabbi's message? Why is it that I tuned in now? Why is it that I'm heading this way on the highway? Why is it that I'm going to work day in and day out the same place? Why is it that I'm married to this individual? Why is it that God blessed me with these children? These are the questions that one, if you're not thinking, should start asking themselves. And the big question is why? Why does this all happen? And I believe it's profound that we're analyzing this in this week's Torah portion of Parshat Vayigash, because there is a fascinating verse. And the verse is a dialogue between Joseph and his brothers. What happens is after Joseph reveals himself, and he says, yes, I am Joseph. And yes, I have been made into this very powerful individual in the land of Egypt. He says as follows. He sees their faces, and he sees how it's sort of drawn, and he sees the concern, the worries that they have. And he tells them as follows, and I'll read it in Hebrew and translate for you. The Bible says, he says, Va'ata al ta'atzvu. And now do not be in any way sad. Va'al yichar be'einechem. And do not hold any anger within your eyes. Ki mekartem osi hena, that you have sold me here. Why? And this is the most profound words that really drives the message that I want to share with you. He says, Ki lemichya shalachta, because you have sent me here. Yes, your profound actions, seemingly they were rough, seemingly they were cold, seemingly they were so lack of purpose. But ki lemichya shalachto, you have actually sent me here to bring forth food for you. Not only for you, but as the story goes, the entire world was a famine. And if not for Joseph's insight, the entire world would have been in trouble. In Hebrew, we call this two words, hashgacha pratis, which means there is a divine providence. There is a divine purpose. There is a divine reason why every single thing occurs in this world. In fact, the great Kabbalists have told us an interesting statement, that there isn't a leaf that falls off a tree or a blade of grass that grows from the earth, that there isn't a higher energy that sort of tells it grow or tells it fall off the branch. Everything in this world happens for purpose. Everything in this world has the chain reaction. Every step you take is making a difference. Every interaction that you do has a hashgacha pratis, a divine providence connected to it. Now let me explain to this idea. You know, it takes faith, it takes an understanding. And not only that, it takes tremendous faith when it doesn't look bright for you. When a person is without a job and they say to themselves, "You're telling me, Rabbi, it's hashgacha pratis, it's divine providence that I should have this no job now. How could you tell me that? Come on, maybe put me in a job and then throw me this word, hashgacha pratis." How can you say at a time of sorrow, at a time of pain, at a time of lack of income, at a time of challenging moments throughout the world, that where I am today, what I'm doing today, the acts that I'm involved with, the car ride that I'm in, the job that I'm involved with, the relationship that I'm involved with, the goodness and kindness or every element of this world that I do is all divine providence? It's all? The answer is it is. And you know, sometimes it doesn't take 1 year. Sometimes it doesn't take 10 years. Sometimes it doesn't take 20 years. It can take longer than that. But ultimately, when a person looks back on their life, and you see this countless times, the people that open their eyes to this idea, and you see this in countless times when a person says, you know something? Wow, I would have never got to where I am today. Wow, I would have never achieved this. Or wow, I would have never met this individual. Or wow, look at the child we brought into this world. It's all you. It's all the timing. It's all the place. It's all the purpose. It's all the individual. It's all that moment. It's all now. Every single element of life, every step we take, every breath we breathe, every gesture of kindness and smiles and shrugs and good deeds and charity and learning and vacationing and whatever we're involved with, it doesn't make a difference. The things that we do have meaning and have purpose, have arms and have legs, have extensions for sometimes decades, but ultimately, if a person is able to see the entire picture, they can truly see how everything has a purpose. And that is exactly what Joseph tells his brothers. He says, you're sad. You're feeling bad. You're feeling remorse. Oh my gosh, you're thinking, look what I've done. I can't believe I'm embarrassed. This is what I did to my brother. He's in a powerful position now. Who knows what he'll do to us in return? Right away, Joseph Hatzadik, Joseph the righteous one, turns to his brothers and reaffirms to them the fundamental concept of belief, the fundamental idea, what it means when a person says, you know something, I'm not doing this just because I want to, but I'm doing this and you did this to me because it has a purpose. And the answer is, now you can see why I was put in that situation. And I think when we take this message from today and we think about it in a certain sense, and we say to ourselves, wow, you know, I'm going through a challenging time. You think to yourself, you know, I might not have the job that I want right now. I think to myself, you know, I might not be in the place where I want when I set my goals, or the university that I really care for right now, or whatever it may be in life. That obstacle is standing strong in front of me, and I don't see the bright future. I just don't see it. Comes this week's Torah portion, and think about this unique dialogue between Joseph and his brothers. And think about, imagine being thrown to a pit. Thankfully, we're not in that situation. Imagine a person that's thrown into the pit and has to think, wait, this is also for the purpose. So when you start believing and you start engaging your thoughts and you begin to realize, wait a second, the ultimate challenge that I have is not that great. The ultimate challenge that I have has meaning, because the truth is, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what actions you are doing that you're inspiring another person. You never know what conversation you will have, what type of business you will be engaged in, ultimately that will make that challenging difference in this world. And I think it's very clear that when a person needs direction, when a person needs that extra oomph of guidance, when a person needs that support system that uplifts and raises the individual, you know, what's interesting is that if you were standing on the street and you're involved in a sort of this brawl of a fist fight in a bar, and 4 people are punching each other, and everyone's going whoosh, and you pick up your head, all you see is benches being thrown and chairs being smashed. What do you think when you're right in the midst of it all? You think the entire world, wherever you can see, to the north, to the south, either side, everywhere you look, all you see is people fighting. Imagine if you're standing on a bird's eye view. Imagine if you're sort of removed from the scene itself, and you're looking at it from above, and you see the full picture. What do you see? You actually see a couple of people involved, and anywhere beyond the center of that argument, the center of that dispute, the center of that fight, others are going about their day in and day out life. And I think when it comes to our own life, when it comes to our own perspective of life, so many times we're stuck in the essence, in the challenging moments, in the hardship. We're in the pit, so to speak. We don't see any light at all. You turn to the right, you see the darkness. You turn to the left, you see the darkness. You look up, it's dark. Wherever you turn, all you see is dark. Sometimes a person has to remove themselves from their physical situation and look at it from a bird's eye view and say to yourself, wait a second, it's only this little area. I might have shared with you this story in the past, but there was a teacher that was trying to convey to its students the importance, the uniqueness of what a true melody is. And what happened was, it was a music teacher, so he played a 5-minute piece, and he asked the students, tell me, who is the author? Who is the composer of this music? And it was harsh, it was rough, it was sad. And every person said, it's this Russian morbid composer, or it's this individual. And everyone hands down said it has to be Then the music teacher went ahead and played the entire piece. And it was one of the most famous Beethoven pieces that for a moment it goes into a pit. For a moment it goes into a sharp note of harshness and sadness. But ultimately, when you listen to the entire piece, and you listen to the entire symphony, and you hear the softness and the joy and the spirits all around it, you begin to see, wow, the full melody of the world, the full melody of this symphony is so beautiful, it's so rich, it's so encouraging, it's so uplifting. You know, when we come to our own life, so many of us don't translate or analyze our life the same way. All we want to see is the harshness, the dark side of life, the challenging elements, or the little success. We say, oh, it's only a little success. We don't want to look at the full picture. We don't want to take a step back and say, wait a second, there's an entire symphony. There's an entire piece. We're not just playing one little piece. We're not just playing one little 5-second part, but it's actually an entire piece of melody that has sweetness, and it has sorrow, and it has joy, and that is what life is all about. And I think when a person really culminates the message of life, the uniqueness of what life can really teach us, I think you not only will have a blessed week with joy and happiness, but you'll begin to realize that the true element of divine providence, that where you are and what you are in life, all has meaning and purpose. And I wish you all a very successful week and a very successful holiday. And hopefully we'll see you same time, same place next year. You're listening to The Rabbi's Message.